Just like the hair on my face, the NFL draft has come and gone, and the Ravens roster is looking about as unrecognizable as I do without any facial hair. Today we are going to be grading the Ravens draft class, and now we're not going to be taking a look at the undrafted class just yet. I may do a separate video on that, I'm not entirely sure. Coming into the draft, I said the Ravens had an opportunity to be truly taken seriously as a contender, and the question is, did they do enough in the draft to be considered a threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, a threat to the Buffalo Bills, even a threat to, in the division, the Cleveland Browns, because the Browns have been absolutely killing it. Not only did they have a phenomenal draft, they had a phenomenal free agency period as well. I can't believe that the Browns actually have a competent head coach and a competent general manager. It makes me sick to my stomach. This just doesn't make any sense. So here's the deal. My grading system is going to actually have something backing it up. It's not just going to be random numbers, random grades here. Think of it as school. An A is worth 4 points. And now the way that it's a little bit different is that if it's an A+, it's 4.5 points for me. If it's a B+, it's 3.5. And B+ and A-, they're going to be about the same value, number value there. So it's a B+ and an A+ are actually worth 3.5. Same thing with like a C+ and a B-, those are both going to be worth 2.5 points. They're going to be worth the exact same. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to be adding together all of the grades, and then we're going to be taking the average of that, and just to let you know what I do think about this draft class. So going into this draft, I had a certain set of needs that the Ravens did have in order to become a Super Bowl contender, in order to be taken seriously as a threat in the AFC. They are the following. Offensive line to me was the number one need. You lost Orlando Brown Jr. Number 2 for me was wide receiver. That was my second biggest need for the Ravens. And then number 3 was actually edge. I know a lot of people have edge a lot higher on the Ravens' needs than I did, but I wanted to see the Ravens address the offense first and foremost before they address the defense. Those are really the top 3 needs, whether or not you agree of the order. I'm sure that everybody agreed on those 3 positions being the true needs for the Baltimore Ravens. Then I did have 3 more needs that I added to the list that weren't necessarily dire needs, but they were something that you could look at for either for depth purposes or just for looking in the future, because there are some contracts that are going to be expiring. So those 3 were tight end, then safety, then defensive line. And we're going to talk about, did the Ravens address all of these needs that they did have on the roster? So the Ravens' first pick, with pick number 27 in the first round, was wide receiver Rashod Bateman. I will say the first pick that the Ravens made was actually my favorite pick of the entire draft class. I've loved what I've seen from Rashod Bateman, and the more I see of Rashod Bateman, the more I absolutely fall in love with the pick. I truly believe that the Ravens finally have their number 1 wide receiver. Not saying that he's going to come in and instantly take that spot, but I do think that gradually we will see Rashod Bateman step into that role. Rashod Bateman truly does seem to be the full package at wide receiver and everything that you want in a wide receiver 1. Now, the few negatives that I have seen, because it's mostly positive. When you watch Rashod Bateman, I mean, he plays big, even though he's not as tall as we originally thought. He's about 6 feet, but he still plays a lot taller than he is. And he just goes up. The main thing I love about Rashod Bateman is how he goes up into the air and snatches the ball out of the air. It's reminiscent of a little bit of a DeAndre Hopkins. Not at all trying to compare Rashod Bateman to DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm simply stating the way that Rashod Bateman goes and snatches the ball out of the air. That's the comparison I'm making, and that's my favorite part of his game. That's something that Lamar Jackson needed. That's something that the Ravens offense desperately needed. There's really not many negatives to Rashod Bateman's game, aside from one thing I did notice is that he tends to have a really wide stance when coming out, and his release can kind of be a little bit slow because of that. He kind of has to tap his foot on the back just to get it situated, and then he takes off. That obviously can be coached. Nothing that I saw from Rashod Bateman told me that, oh, this can't be coached. I think that whatever his deficiencies are coming into the league, they can absolutely be coached, especially if our new wide receivers coach and our new passing game coordinators, or whatever their titles are, I'm sorry, I don't really know, I'm hoping that they can come in and coach it out of him. So overall, I am giving this first pick an A, which is worth 4 points. The Ravens then followed it up at pick number 31. This was the pick that they got for the Orlando Brown Jr. trade, and it was edge rusher Odafe Oweh, aka, as I call him, Double O. A lot of people were negative on this pick, and I think I'm a little bit higher than a lot of people are, not necessarily because I believe he's going to come in and contribute immediately, which is kind of a problem because when you draft someone in the first round, you are hoping for them to be able to contribute instantly. But to me, this seems like the Ravens saw just a pure athlete. Not to mention he ran about a 4.3, which is just freakish speed for an edge rusher. But that to me is really what I saw when I would watch Odafe Oweh, is a pure athlete. He has speed coming off the edge, but there are a lot of things that he has to work on as an edge rusher. He has to develop some pass rushing moves. So this to me is a huge boomer bust pick. But the reason I think I like it a little bit more is because the Ravens are the team that drafted him. If it was any other team, I'm not entirely sure I would trust their coaching staff to get the most out of them. But since the edge rushing position is a position that the Ravens are very good at developing historically, I actually don't hate this double O pick. Now, I will say there were other positions that I would have liked to see the Ravens take. If it was me, you guys already know who I wanted at that spot. I really wanted Tevin Jenkins, the offensive tackle. Unfortunately, he had fallen to the second round for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what it was. He had some medical things going on, I think. But yes, I absolutely wanted Tevin Jenkins, but the fact of the matter is the Ravens just didn't go in that direction. They decided to address offensive line in the third round, and that's what we're going to get into right now. But for Double O, I don't expect him to be an immediate contributor. We'll see how he is down the road, maybe like 2 or 3 years from now. I think he's going to take some time in the oven. I think he's going to take some time to develop, but if he does develop, he could be an absolute beast. So I am going to give this one a B-/C+, and that comes out to 2.5 points. The Ravens did not have a second round pick, so we moved to the third round at pick 94, where they did draft offensive guard out of Georgia, Ben Cleveland. At the time when I saw the pick, I was like, all right, that's not too bad. I mean, I would have liked to see a tackle maybe being drafted instead, but the fact that they addressed the guard position, I don't entirely hate. As I understand it, as we stand now, we are expecting for Bradley Bozeman to be moving over to the center position, which was his college position, so we'll see how he does. Maybe he will do a lot better than how Matt Skura was playing last season, throwing the ball over Lamar's damn head. But I do see Ben Cleveland as someone that could actually come in and immediately contribute. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, John Harbaugh, apparently this was John Harbaugh's pick. He absolutely loved Ben Cleveland. You saw them. If you saw the draft, you saw how the Ravens draft room was just absolutely celebrating the fact that Ben Cleveland fell to their pick. Man, they were so happy. So I'm going to trust the Ravens here. So Ben Cleveland is John Harbaugh's guy. So maybe he does actually take the starting job in week 1. So for that reason, I am going to give it a B. I like the pick. I mean, you know, if it was me, I probably would have taken a tackle instead, depending on who's on the board. But overall, I'm going to give it a B, which is 3 points. Then the Ravens followed it up with, I think, the most head-scratching pick of the entire draft. A lot of people did not like this pick, including Ravens fans, myself included. Pick 104 was DB. Brandon Stephens. So Brandon Stephens used to actually play the running back position at UCLA, and then he got transferred where he started playing cornerback at SMU. And then Eric DeCosta comes out and says that he actually sees him as a type of free safety. So what this pick tells me is that I think it was another Harbaugh pick, to be quite honest with you. I think that you know how Harbaugh is. He loves his special teamers. So that's what I think that we drafted in the third round. I believe that currently, right now, unless something changes in the next few years and Brandon Stephens is able to develop, I believe that we drafted a special teamer in the third round. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because there is 3 phases to a football game, so I totally understand. But there were definitely other options that the Ravens could have gone. They could have taken a tackle there. I know I've been harping on the tackle, but as I understand it, and I forgot to mention this at the top, but Jeff Zrebiec actually tweeted out that the Ravens are expected to sign an offensive tackle sooner rather than later. So if they do that, I'm not going to be as hard on them. But for now, I'm just simply looking at the roster as it is now. So while I'm sure there's upside with this Brandon Stephens pick, I'm just not seeing it right now. Obviously, he is an athlete, and that is definitely what the Ravens have shown that they value, especially in this draft. And I understand that it's with COVID and everything, it was a weird year, so the Ravens, I think they went a little bit heavier on the athlete this time, rather than focusing so much on numbers and stats. So I gotta say, man, that I'm gonna have to give this pick for Brandon Stephens a C-. I just believe that you could have gotten a lot better value there. But hey, man, we'll see. If he turns out to be the next great special teamer like we're expecting him to be, then you know you're probably not going to hate the pick as much.